All right. So continuing on with Iray. So continuing with this. All right. So we have the the ground right here. Let's see what happens when we click off a ground. Okay. So if we click off of this, then it gives the background but no ground. So this is the ground and the ground level. I think it could also work X, Y, and Z. Let me see. Yeah, I'll just take this to 0. I'll mess with that later. Okay, so right now it's green, or it's definitely got a green color. Like I said, it's hard to see a little bit, but the color will have a difference on the materials. So let's just do this real quick. If I'm in here like this, just to see, if I go to red, see how there's like a little bit more red in there? And when I'm changing this background color, I don't know how clear it is to see on you all screen, but if I change this, it's like giving it like a tint, because it's kind of like an Arnold when you turn up the diffuse samples. It's like bounce light. So the light coming from other areas will bounce onto this object and you'll see the colors bleed onto it. So if this thing's purple, it's gonna have like a purple tint. And if I change to green, same thing. So that's a real thing in 3D. So just so you know. Ooh. All right. So let's say I have this color right here, and let's bring back. Well, the ground is there, but let's say I wanted to add a little bit more pizzazz to this. Let me get in one of my cameras, right? Let me get in the other one. Now I want the one in the sky. Okay. So a little pizzazz to this. I can go to reflectivity and you turn up this one right here. So the higher it is, I'm not seeing it reflect too much. Okay, it's doing it. It's just subtle. But I guess this will work. Maybe in this example it's not so clear because it's got this ground plane right here. So let me try this just to make this clear. I'm going to go to texture set and I'll take away the street. And I'll go back to my Iray. Oh no, it still stays. All right, so whatever's there is it's gonna stay. Um, but usually when I have other objects, I can kind of see like a reflection off of here, but don't see it really here. What's not really showing like I thought it would, but it can give like a mirror like effect. Let me see. Maybe is it glossiness? Hmm. Yeah, maybe I think it's just because this doesn't have a lot to reflect off of. But usually you can go in here. Ah, okay, there it is. So it was doing it. I just couldn't see it from the angle. So this is like a reflection. And if you let it sit, how this works is this. If you look right here, if you look right here, there's something that's called iterations. And what it's doing is it's trying to work its way up to the number 1000, right? So every second it works, or every few seconds, it's trying to get samples, which is basically like cleaning up. So in Arnold, when we have camera samples, like the more samples, the clearer the image gets. So that's what this is working for. And right now it's going for 10 seconds. So every time I move, right, and I let go, it goes 1 1000, 2 1000. It does this right here. There's the counter. It goes to 10 seconds and then it stops calculating. And that's so like, and it hits done. And that's so that it doesn't continually keep calculating, because when it calculates like that, it, takes up time and resources. So this is what this is doing. And it's at a max sample of 1000. So that means that if I put this on 10 minutes, which I can do it, or 10 hours if I wanted to, it'll continually count until it hits to 1000, or it hits to the time period. So it's basically the time or the samples. So when I did my renderings, I put it on like 2000 or something like that and just let it like render, I guess, until it hits that time. So when I move it like this, right, and you see it kind of like settling in and refining itself and getting cleaner, it can get much more cleaner than this. You just have to turn up this time period, And then if it gets to 1000, it's still not clean enough for you. You just have to turn up the time. So that's how it works. All right. So because I put it on this and the glossiness is at 0.76, that's why it's like a blurred out kind of look, So it's like mirroring, but it's also kind of blurred. And the less I take it, the less it like, the reflectivity kind of shows. But the more I do this, the clearer it gets, the closer it gets to a mirror, right? So if I turn this all the way up, we're getting a direct reflection. If I turn it like this, we're getting like the bleeding kind of, I guess almost like frosted glass kind of look. Be more like a frosted mirror. Yeah, that's what it'd be. Oh, so we have this shadow intensity. So that's self-explanatory, but it's controlling the shadow on the ground. So I might as well just keep it there. But as we can see this like slight reflection right here. What's cool is we can always go in and adjust it a little bit more. So you get different looks and different feelings, when you change his background. All right. What's cool is it remains consistent no matter what the settings are. So yeah, we have this nice little gradient. Right here, camera settings. So right now I just put it on 1. We have field of view, so move this, we'll see what it's doing. So it's taking that camera, it's altering it, zooming in. And to be honest, I never really mess with this. I usually, when I mess with a substance, I just kind of uh, go in and give it like a nice angle that I like, and I kind of render it from there. But I guess these are interesting to mess with. We have focal length. I'm not in photography, so y'all, those of you all who are, probably understand these settings a bit more than me. I just understand them because I mess with them, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it does. But yeah, so we have like these kind of cool perspectives. And this is nice, for some nice portfolio pieces, because we can just go in here and render it, and Substance gives us like near perfect lighting. Focus distance, I'm not sure what that does. I don't see any point to it. Ooh, aperture. Let's see what this is doing. So this would be kind of interesting. Like, let's say you made this background kind of thing, and you put it in Photoshop or something, and maybe did something over it. That'd be interesting. 0.05. So we have like a nice little subtle blur. You know, it could look like a photo, I guess, when you have the blur associated with it. But let's turn it down. There's these post effects. So these don't really affect the rendering. It's just more about the look of the object. So this is like real like Photoshop. So if I go in here with the saturation, now I got my black and white. Now I got my super like saturated version. So just move around the slider, put on 1, contrast, same thing. Take this contrast. Ooh, I don't really mess with contrast too much. So just put on 1. Brightness, same thing. Nothing super bright. Bias. Woo. 0. Sepia tone ratio. So now we're going to color to black and white, which is cool. Then we have our temperature. So this is like the Arnold temperature lights with that Kelvin scale. So if I turn it down, it's super cool. But this goes like overboard with it, in my opinion. But it's good for controls to go overboard. So we're going from like, our office space, kind of colder, cooler day to warmer, it's hotter. It's like in the desert. Now we're like cooking, right? So that's interesting. And then I think you restored his defaults. We get it all back to normal now. So that's just color correction. Depth of field. This is disable Iray. I think there was like, I'll have to look into this a bit more. It's been a while since I did this. But one of them, it's like you click or left click or middle mouse button click, and you can kind of get this depth. There's something with my cameras, I think, that is up with this. But this is something I'll visit later. Tone mapping, exposure. So just, more controls on how to like control the light, but we have extra things like gamma and things that weren't necessarily in the color correction section. Linear. Yeah. These are actually I can't remember exactly what these are. Filters? I'm not sure. Let's just put it on auto. Let's put on linear, right? Yeah, linear. Mapping factor, not sure. Maybe it's like a scale on the map. I don't see the effect it's doing. But if we restore the defaults, it's back to defaults. Let me see if this does anything. Yeah, so this is just default. All right, so click off of this. Close this one out. Glare. We can manually place like glares. I think it's middle mouse button. Click. And is it threshold? It might not work on this. No, yeah, it is working. So you see right here how it's kind of like getting bright? Let me get a little closer. So I added a glare there. Let me go to, so the luminance is the brightness of the glare. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's there. There's threshold. What's the threshold doing? Threshold is, okay. So we see how it's lit up. Now, if I hold down, wait, is it middle control? Wait, control middle mouse button click? I can place the glare where I want it to be. Remap factor. I think it's like controlling how big it is. Now here's something else with the glare. We can change the type of glare right here. So there's like bloom. So I'm holding down control and click. And that's giving us one type of flare. I mean glare. Cheap lens is giving us this. And you can see the I don't want to say the word wrong. I think it's striations. Stridations. Something like that. It doesn't matter because we're going to be just like looking at it. All right. Yeah, we have these. So these are some cool controls. Like I said, you're holding down control and clicking, and it puts it in that area. It's just a little strange because, you know, we're doing this on concrete. And yeah, there's different types. The cross, depending on the scene, it's just like easier to see, but we can kind of see the effect that's going on. If we turn it off, we can definitely see what it's doing. All right. Restore the defaults. Just turn that off. Vignette. This is a cool one from when you're like finally done. So like, let's say I'm here, I'm in my camera O1, I'm loving it. I go over here to Vignette, turn it up. Let's see if I can override it. 5. Nope, it stops at 1. Okay. But we can go like this, and y'all, I think you should know what vignetting does, but it just takes the edges and it places a gradient from dark to light. And I guess there's a certain point in the center of the image. This one is more oval, I guess. I thought there was like a control on the shape. I guess not. Because to me, it seems like it's oval, and I guess I would think it would be a little bit more on the top and the bottom. But I guess if you need that, you can Photoshop that. But yeah, this is how this works. Take off this, or reset or whatever. Lens distortion. Click on this. So we have this kind of area, and we just we can mess with it like this. It's kind of like flattens it out, protrudes it from the center. Field of view. So I guess if we're like this, so they both work in conjunction with each other. You know, so you get some funky effects, edge roundness. So this with this. And edge smoothness. So it looks like this is like a vignette sort of on edge or a gradient. But yeah, this stuff is yeah, pretty cool. Restore the defaults. And I'll take that off. I think this might be a new parameter. I'm not sure. Yeah, I've never really messed with these right here. These look like I don't remember those in the previous version. Maybe I just never touched it. Um, Gate mask. Don't see too much. Maybe I need to be in the camera to do that. Well, I am in the camera. But yeah, those are those settings. And all these right here are just like this is like one of those cheap web pages where you click on it and it just like scrolls down the screen and goes to that specific section. So that's what these buttons are doing. Nothing super fancy. Okay. Yeah, so this is how this will work. And let's say I want to go to this view right here. I'm just gonna hold down shift, right click, just to move my sun. See if I can get something a little bit cooler than what I do have. Now, if I wanted to get a good quality render out, I could put it on here. I could put it on like 10 minutes or something like that. But My computer's kind of fast, so if I was to put it on 10 minutes, what's going to happen is this thing will try its best to get to 1000, and it's either going to hit 1000 first or it's going to hit 10 minutes first. But as you can see, the speed, it's already about to be on 400. So it's going to hit 1000, in a few seconds. Probably like 20 more seconds, it'll probably hit 1000. So I'll be done with that. And this will be, crisp. But if you want it to be even, crispier, you want to change the samples, because the samples is what makes it clean more than the time. So I don't know how to work on a computer that's slower. I'm guessing you probably want to let it chill on, I don't know, 2000 samples. All right. So look, it already hit 1000 samples at 57 seconds. So I still had 10 minutes to go. So if I was to put this instead of on 1000 to 3000, it'll keep on going. And this rendering right here will let you know what's happening. Another thing is if you are messing with these settings, sometimes if your computer isn't fast, you might want to pause Iray, right? And then do some settings and come back. But see, when I did it this time, it's because it was rendering. Well, let me do this instead. So right now it's on seconds, right? 10 seconds. So if this thing says done, and then I pause it, then I go over here to like my environment rotation or something like that. I can adjust these now while it's paused and make some like, adjustments, and then I'll go back and click it again. But I don't really use this too much. I just kind of like keep it on these default settings. And then when I really want to make my like final, I'll turn it up to, 3000, put it on like 5 minutes or something, 10 minutes. When I have something really cool, I'll put it on like 20 minutes, and I'll put it on, I don't know, like 10,000 samples, and I'll just like go do something and come back. And once my image is rendered, I'll go to save render, and then I'll just save it out. And that's that.